7 o'clock, so. Okay, time being 7 o'clock, I'd like to call to order the Somersworth Historic District Commission meeting for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. And the first order of business is approval of the minutes from previous meetings. We have two here, April 23rd and May 28th. Do we have any discussion or motions?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for both as written. I, again, proofread them, and thank you to whoever fixed.
Microphone.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 23rd and May 28th. I did proofread the May 28th ones. I know there was some question on those, and I did go back over them.
All right.
Thank you to whoever fixed them.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. They're both approved. Second order of business is projects of minimal impact. Ms. Mears?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two projects to report out on for July. 11 Mount Vernon Street came in for an application for in-kind roof and trim repair. That was approved for minimal impact. And then 9-11 Lincoln Street, they came in for an application for in-kind roof repairs. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda is public comments by visitors. If we have anyone here who would like to just speak general comments. Seeing the one applicant here, I don't believe we do, so we'll move into old business. And we have no old business on the agenda, so new business. We have Smith Cove Holdings, LLC, is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to replace windows, siding, and the front entry door on a property located at 9-11 Lincoln Street in the residential single-family A with historic overlay district, assessors map 11, lot 135, historic district case number 18-2025. And Ms. Mears, do you have any info for this?
Yep, so the proposal to complete the following repair and replacement projects: siding replacement, remove and replace all existing siding, quarter boards, and J-channels with certainteed monogram, cloudboard, and colonial white. Installation will mirror the existing configuration, straight J-channel trim at the openings and quarter boards at the edges. The window replacement is replace every sash with Marvin. Insert windows, no frame openings. On the street-facing facade units will feature 2/1 divided light sashes to match the historic pattern. The sides and the rear of the building will have 1/1 sashes. The bedroom will receive code-compliant egress units as required. All existing storm windows will be removed permanently. There's also a front door replacement and a roof repairs that was approved as a minimal impact. So this application is ready for the board to review.
All right. And just one note that I'd like to point out is obviously we usually allow in-kind replacement of materials under minimal impact, whereas this was a complete re-siding. I determined that it should be a major impact. I don't think we can tell them no to the PV or the vinyl that they already have. It's the in-kind stuff. Just more how it's placed on the building, because obviously our standards for review speak to not covering up trim and so on like that. So I know siding's kind of one of those gray areas on this. I just wanted to remind the board of that. But do we have the applicant here to come up and speak to this? And if you would just state your name for the record and make sure the green light is on for the microphone before you start speaking.
How's that? Good. My name is Sam Smith. My wife and I are the sole owners of Smith Cove that own 911 Lincoln Street. I'm kind of a detail guy, so I'm happy to take you through some of what you just summarized, or I could answer questions specifically related to the siding or items of concern. Happy to do either.
You're welcome to present a little bit of info, and of course we can ask questions if we have some, but if you want to just go through a presentation or summary of it, and we'll...
I put this together quickly, so no problem. So one, thank you, for reviewing our application. Appreciate the important role, that everyone plays in preserving the architectural and historic character of Somersworth. This is our first time presenting before the commission. This is a relatively small project, but we're here to provide an overview of the proposed exterior improvements to 911 Lincoln Street. As I mentioned, it's a 4-unit multifamily residence that my wife and I own. We're committed to making thoughtful, long-term investments in the building. Our goal is to enhance the living space for our tenants while contributing positively to the streetscape and vitality of the Lincoln Street neighborhood. We intend to use either like-kind materials or modern alternatives that reflect the original aesthetic, products that are energy efficient, durable, and keeping with the historical character of the area. The proposal before you tonight does not include the already approved roof repair, which you mentioned earlier, which was deemed low impact and approved, but does include the 3 primary improvements: the siding replacement, window replacement, and the front door replacement. I'll start with the siding, which is currently of white vinyl clapboard siding. I included a few pictures for everyone to review. I'm certainly happy to pass my phone along, but that shows a little bit more detail. But there's significant cracking, warping, discoloration. So our proposal includes replacing that vinyl siding, which we estimate to be probably close to 40 years old, just because of the condition it's in, and some of the, especially the UV deterioration, with a certainteed monogram 4-inch clapboard in colonial white, which is a similar color to what is there and is existing. I will say, the monogram, which is one of CertainTeed's better products, does have that grain-like appearance, which is, yes, it's more expensive, but I thought would be more appropriate given the historic nature of the building. I understand vinyl is vinyl, and probably wood is preferred, but I would also note, I took a drive through the neighborhood again tonight just to be prepared for this tonight's meeting and summary, and there are a number of houses, including our neighbors on either side, that have similar vinyl siding, so it does seem to be fairly consistent. There are corner boards. There are also J-channel around the windows. None of the windows have any type of wood trim. We'll get into the windows in a minute. There are existing storm windows on the outside, which makes it very difficult, to even see the pattern of the 2/1 simulated light, type of glass. We think that this siding replacement, will definitely enhance, the curb appeal in the neighborhood. And, the reason we're doing it, and trying to go about it the right way, I should say, with the right material, is, we have tenants in there, some of which are long-term, some of which are new tenants, but to improve and actually spend the money on, the right way to do something in the neighborhood. When I drive around Somersworth, there's a lot of beautiful parts, and there's a lot of what I see as landlords that, maybe don't address the siding, and they choose to put a Band-Aid on it and, get through it for a couple of years. So our goal is to truly, do the siding over with what we think is a Tier 1 product. The window replacements, the windows vary in age. I would say, I think there's 39 in total. I may have included the proposal. I can get you those details if needed, but I would say roughly 9 to 12 are vinyl. And of unknown age, I would estimate probably 20 to 30 years old. Some are wood, include, cracking, wear and tear, obviously in dire need of replacement. So we're proposing to replace those with, what you call an insert window. It's the most economical and efficient way to do it, especially to older buildings. And we're also proposing to maintain, that 2/1 window pattern, which has the 2 simulated divided light over the 1 pane, which seems to be very consistent with what's in the area where the building is, and does make up some of the existing windows there. I mentioned, and as you read, Michelle, that we were proposing to have that on the front and left and right sides of the building. I have no issue doing it around the entire building and including the attic. The primary reason for the window replacement, especially with these, Matthew Brothers, is energy efficiency and also ease of use with tenants and Just is these day and age, there's a lot of leaking air and just are no longer efficient. The front door replacement is, as you can see in the pictures, is of wood material and, very rotted. I've had multiple people come out and look at it, and, the whole entire thing really needs to be replaced. So we are proposing, a Therma-Tru fiberglass unit, which would have similar windows to what is there now, and would offer greater durability, comfort, and weather resistance. And I would just point out that in my just walking through the neighborhood and looking at other houses, it does appear that style, newer style fiberglass door is in some comparable properties on Lincoln Street, where the property is located. That's, in a nutshell, a summary of the project, and happy to answer any questions or concerns in more detail.
All right. Ms. Schoen?
Thank you. So your proposal, I'm just looking at the door to start. The door currently has got some nice wood trim around it with 4 divided lights going up each side. Your proposal at this point is to replace that entire thing with a fiberglass unit?
That would be correct, yes. And primary reason is just because of the rot that is around the entire unit. So that unit would not only have a door, but it would also have the windows and glass similar. I think there would be 3. I don't have those details in front of me, but we tried to select the unit that looked as close to what was there as possible.
Right, but what you've given us does not look like it's going to have any of the trim molding on the top. It looks like you're losing a lot of the character. It's going to essentially be a flush door that's losing the top molding and the top crowns and the top, kind of the details of the top. So is there a different picture? Quite frankly, when I look at your house, it does not have a lot of character left. This is one of the few features that is kind of left of this house, and I'm not inclined to let you fiberglass that whole thing. I'm fine if you want to replace the front door. I'm not inclined to vote to have you replace the lights and to essentially, kind of cheapen the look and lose what little character that door frame has left. There are a lot of carpenters out about who can easily fix the broken wood and paint it. And so I'm just going to telegraph that right now. I'm fine to let you replace the door. I'm not inclined, unless you have something that looks a lot like this, which I don't see in your product, to let you replace that. At least that's not going to be my vote. I don't mind the siding. What I'm concerned about with the windows that you're putting in, it sounds like you're getting rid of the storms. So that means that what is the change in the look of the windows going to be with these essentially pop-in windows? And I recognize that you have J-Tanel, which we tend to try not to allow now. It looks like this house got sided before we went against that, and you've lost a lot of your trim features. When you put the new windows in, what's the profile of the window going to look like compared to what it looks like now?
So I think in some better pictures would probably help answer that question for you. So if you were to look at the windows now, which I can certainly, and I thought I included.
You did. We have a bunch of pictures. I'm just asking, because you're talking to us about, with all due respect, popping in a cheaper, more economical window, which, houses are expensive. But I'm looking at, does that mean it's essentially recessed and so you no longer have any lintels or anything sticking out? Like, what is the profile going to look like? And others probably can articulate this better than I can. I just want to know what the outside's going to look like.
It will look exactly, if you were to take that storm window off, it would look exactly like you would see here with a double hung window. The only difference would be is you would have a vinyl window, not a wooden window. So that 2/1 glass is what you would see. That window would be able to go up and down. The egress windows, which are currently not in there, would obviously have to swing out so someone can get out of the window in case there was a fire. But it would, I believe, enhance the curb appeal significantly, because with those storms, you can barely even see the 2/1, which does appear to be very consistent throughout that part of Somersworth.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the 2/1. In fact, I'd like them all to be the same. And I do notice that you have some 1/1s, you have some 2/1s. Consistency is fantastic from my perspective. I'll cede the floor.
So just for clarification, you're talking about putting in replacement windows, which basically take the sashes out, the existing frames stay there, they just insert in to those frames, so the dimension stays the same, you just have a replacement window inserted into it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And opens the same and much more efficient glass and probably a clearer glass. But I think you would not be able to notice unless you walked up and started, touching the material and realized that that's vinyl and not wood.
Yeah, I know we've allowed these with other houses in the past, they're just simple replacement windows. The ones that are casement style for the egress,
Yes.
are they gonna be the 2/1 arrangement as well, so they mimic the double hung even though they don't open the same way?
The only way you won't know to walk and try to lift it up is because there's a device to open it.
But it would still be divided the same way to look like a double hung
Exactly.
2/1.
Exactly.
George?
Yeah, I got a couple questions for
Sure.
you. On the windows right now, it looks like the sill, is that covered in aluminum? And is that still coming out?
There is no sill coming out. So what you would see, that is aluminum, where you're talking about the wrapping that occurs there
Yeah?
at the bottom.
Well, there was a sill, they just cut them. I've cut many of those, so you know.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
what they did is there is a lot of trim that was wrapped in metal and still in very good
Well, that's
condition.
Is that coming out when you put the new windows in?
No, that will stay exactly as is. And other parts of, if you look at some of the soffit details up top, there is quite a bit of wrapped metal there, and it is in still very good shape.
I was gonna ask you that if was gonna be painted. I can't tell. I'm new to cataract surgery, so you gotta kind of forgive me.
Yeah, and the pictures probably are hard on when it's printed. I could walk my phone over and show you a better
you're fine.
picture.
You're fine.
But because that is in very good condition, our goal would be to, paint what we need to, but don't anticipate to replace any of that. And the soffit underneath is actually also a vinyl material, and there's no reason at this point to replace that either. So it's really limited to the siding and, obviously the windows, which the siding and windows don't need to be done at the same time just because they are the replacement nature. So that J channel that you see now, there will be new J channel that goes in the exact same place and wraps around it. The biggest difference, from the street view, in my opinion, is, I believe the monogram, just because I've seen some of it and I'm happy to bring some in because we have some samples, it's the best looking vinyl siding. I'm not a big vinyl fan, and it does look very nice. But removing those storm windows, so you can actually see, the 2/1, I think will make a big difference personally.
My last question to you, and again, you have to forgive my eyesight tonight. You mentioned there's corner boards on here. It looks like there's just vinyl corners. Is it a vinyl corner?
Yeah, it is a vinyl
Okay.
corner board, and I'm happy to walk my phone over if that's helpful for
no,
you.
you're good. I'm just trying
He's trying
I
to
have some-
focus.
to,
It
trying to
sounds like.
focus on what it is.
I
Okay.
have some better pictures, and I'm able to zoom in a little bit easier with this, so
Good, thank you.
So,
yep, no problem.
Quick question I have is, obviously you're pulling all the vinyl siding off of this in the process. You're actually gonna uncover your trim in the process, I would imagine. Would you consider putting the siding back up so that the trim is then exposed again?
It's a hard question to answer because I don't know what's underneath there. And, we have no idea or what type of rot or other things exist. Obviously, when you're redoing siding, you're going to remove rot and, put any type of sheathing or, what's needed to, properly weather tight the building. But I don't think I can answer that question because it was done so many years ago. Based on, what I've been able to pull back, I believe everything was removed at the time this was done. And, just looking at this and knowing a little bit about siding at the time, this was probably the most economical way to quickly reside the building without, unfortunately, putting trim on it, which I wish they would have kept. It really would have made it look nicer. And quite honestly, they make a lot of trim, with the J channel built right in, which can make it easier.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was asking this. Obviously, we've had a lot of buildings that have been re-sided before the commission existed,
Yep.
and the historic district existed. So, sometimes it's, this is just one of those rare opportunities because we don't get a lot of people re-siding an entire building that
Sure.
maybe you'd be willing to consider that. I certainly understand the challenges to it, but didn't know if that was something you'd consider. Just
Yeah,
figure.
I would be open to considering it, but I would want a little bit of flexibility there if possible, just knowing, what's, I think quite honestly, the easiest way to go about it would be, once we remove it, and it's one of those things where we have to make sure we have the material, but it may be possible, to put some type of, were you thinking, white 1x trim with J channel around the windows, or?
Yeah, just, I mean, usually they have like a 4-inch trim around the windows, and, just having that trim there, I think changes the whole look of the building. and
Yeah.
Brings it back to what it used to be. I don't know if there's more ornate stuff in there. I'm not looking to go all out with it, just
Right.
to bring it back some if that was potentially a possibility.
Yeah, I think I am completely open to that, and I think that it would, it just, you're missing something without that. I'm looking at the picture right now on my phone, and
Because the only thing you see now is just the sill that sticks out below the window itself
Yeah.
and nothing on the sides of the top. So, it certainly changes the look of the house drastically
Yeah,
when they do that.
I
Unfortunately,
would-
a lot of these were done that way years ago.
I would be open to doing that, and if it's okay with you, on a best efforts basis, just
We would be
depending
happy to
upon what
put
we
that
get
in.
into.
Applicant agrees to see if there are options to put trim back. We can't force you to put trim that's not there back. We would encourage you, and I would love to see some shutters, even if they're plastic, back on there to give it a little. Again, we can't force you, but if you're looking to kind of give this house a little more character, they make plastic shutters, and we're not opposed to those because they're something.
Yeah, and those are a lot easier to snap on than the trim around the windows, which I think would enhance the street view of the building. Sometimes it can be quite costly depending upon the material, and if it is, most of the time it can be a little bit more costly, but I'm open to looking at that.
Even if you just did the front, so that you have a street view that's a little nicer for your neighborhood.
Yeah.
We can't as a committee force you to do it. We're asking because you're re-siding, so maybe you'll uncover some things that are really wonderful about your house.
Yeah. Well, we will certainly look into doing that. And, the only other thing probably to note, I'm zooming into the picture here, is, they have the old envelope, drops. They don't fit any modern day envelopes anymore. So those will probably get taken away. I don't think that's historic though, but I thought it was worth mentioning. They're on the left and right side of the door. They're not the black ones. They're probably.
It looks like there's a mailbox above them and then
Yes.
the actual mail slot below it.
Surprisingly, a modern day letter does not fit in there. So
Yeah,
it's a
And the
big.
post office refuses to use them anyway because of that reason.
Yes, that's correct.
I have one other question, and
Yeah.
maybe this is just a visual. The siding to me looks very narrow, and maybe someone else with older George can tell me. Is the siding that you're putting up, I think you guys talk about exposure, like 3-inch exposure, 4-inch exposure. Like, is it going to be the same, like, exposure, or is it going to be bigger?
So that right there is a little bit less than 4 inches. Standard New England clapboards are 4 inches. They do make it in 5. So if you guys wanted, I don't really have a preference. I like old
No,
style.
we would like the
and,
old style. That was my point, is this looked very thin.
Yeah, so the 4-inch that's proposed here is what you would call your standard New England,
Great.
Cape type style, and I think the 5 is honestly, it just looks strange. I wonder where they actually use the 5
Yeah.
because we have so many old homes in this area, you just don't see that gap. But
And while we're on that topic, you are proposing the clapboard, not the Dutch lap
Yes.
style.
the clapboard. And again, the difference between what's on there now and with a lot of cheaper clapboard sidings is you don't get that grain texture. You can't see it from a distance, but if you walk up to it, you know, it's like the cedar shakes now. I mean, they're very difficult to, until you scratch or see them. Vinyl, you touch it once and you can tell in 2 seconds, but at least from a distance, it looks a little bit better.
Do you have any other questions or comments from the board? Ms.
Sure.
Nguyen?
First, I'll just say that on the front door, I'm in complete agreement with Kim on that. I'd much rather see that historic trim. I think that is like the one character-defining feature you have left on this house, and to see that repaired would be by far my preference. I don't think I would vote to replace that with fiberglass. But the door itself could come out, that you can replace the door unit, the leaf in the middle, without replacing the side lights. That said, I'm not sure I think shutters necessarily would be appropriate to the style, but I do really like this conversation about having some trim if you can. One way, just to keep in mind, if the historic trim is there, they can wrap it behind it, and the siding can fit behind the trim instead of using a JB. That's what we typically recommend. I also see, though, that your Exhibit B for materials, where you show what they look like, you can get the trim from the siding manufacturer for your windows. That would be another alternative. I think it's the way they typically do it. It doesn't have a bottom sill, which it really should, like you have now. It's aluminum, but to have a bottom sill would be the right style.
Right. Yeah, I think it's one of those, and we're open to, I think the trim around it would be nice, based upon, what we've done and looking at this with my contractor and myself. I think they probably stripped the existing trim and just went right to the window. So most likely it would be, unfortunately, new trim, which is bad for me if I decide to do that, because, again, it is, it is a bit more costly for sure. But when we open it up, we will certainly, look to see to try to incorporate, a white 1x4 wraparound, which, without storm windows and the 2/1 and a door that doesn't look like that, I think the building would look significantly better. So that's our goal. So on the door, I'm just looking at it now, and the reason I was going to, what was proposed is because the efficiency is so much better, the glass, everything. But I understand what you're saying. There is a bit of detail, on the left and right side, especially near the top, where, we can, there's just a lot of rot on the bottom right and left, but I think that we could probably find a way to refurbish that. Would you be opposed to a fiberglass door in the middle just because of the efficiency?
We're not opposed to that, I don't believe.
No.
I think that's
That
what
would
we're
be fine.
telling you. We want you to save the wood on the outside, but we're not opposed to a fiberglass door.
Okay.
And we're not opposed to, what's the plastic stuff for the wood we're using now?
AZAC. is
AZAC. We're
Yeah.
not opposed to
Another
AZAC.
common use.
Yeah, it's hard to
Aerial.
blend AZAC and the wood because there's so much shrinking that happens, especially with detail like this. We may, I think there's definitely a way to go about it and make it look okay. Obviously, a lot of it's going to have to get replaced, but I'm just looking at the picture. The storm door on the outside would get removed. I think you guys would be fine with that. It with a new modern fiberglass door, it doesn't do anything.
And would the door still have the 6 panels to mimic what's there already?
Yeah, the
door- yeah.
colonial.
The proposed door is that. He just proposed a whole piece, and we're saying no to the piece, but we're, I think, okay with the 6-piece door that you're proposing, if you can get the door piece separately, which I'm assuming you can.
Yeah, there are many doors that we can pick from there. Again, the biggest loss is the efficiency, because that's a common area, and I mean, I think when I've looked at that glass, it's got to be this thin. But
You can replace the glass. You
Yeah.
can glaze the glass. There are folks who specialize in window restoration who can come help you repaint and fix that if you want to do that. Having done it, it makes a difference.
yeah, it's definitely, we're open to that, so.
Any other questions, comments, motions?
I make a motion in a bunch of different parts. Sorry. I make a motion that we allow the siding replacement as in keeping with what's already there, which is the approximately 4-inch with the proposed siding material. I motion that we allow the window replacement, keeping the 2/1 divided light style that is there for all windows, and allowing the ingress egress windows. Quite frankly, I don't think we can oppose those, with the request that they mirror and mimic the other windows so that they don't clearly look like an ingress egress window to the extent that we can. That the applicant is requested but not required to see if there are any elements of trim that can be restored to the house during the replacing of the windows and the siding. That the applicant is allowed to replace the door with a fiberglass door, 6-panel, as close to what is there currently as is currently there. So smaller panel on the top, bigger panels on the bottom. So really a 2/4, but a 6-panel door. But that the exterior door frame with the divided lights that is currently wood in need of repair needs to be maintained as is, with no modifications. Repair, but no modifications. What am I missing, folks?
Corner boards, maybe, and that the existing soffit and trim at the roof edge is to remain as is.
Good point.
Because I think otherwise we would want it to be wood, but if you're
Right.
not taking it down, that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, just trying to write all these down, so. So I'm putting in a little different order just because it was
It's okay.
a little
Yeah,
more
I
organized that way.
flipped it at you. It's fine.
So, just discussing the windows first. Replacement windows, as proposed, 2/1 double hung, including the egress windows, to mimic the 2/1 double hung appearance. That makes sense on the windows?
Should we say may remove storms?
I will add that, yes.
Trying to make sure you have a very clear.
You
And really, the only thing
don't
that
want me back
we're
here for a couple months.
Yeah.
But I'm just kidding.
the only thing that we've really opposed you on is that one door. I mean, we're not trying to give you a hard time. Your house has so little left that it would be sad to lose that door.
Yeah, I think it is. I guess I just know how rotted it is, but like you said, anything can be brought back.
There are a lot of Finnish carpenters around. Feel free to reach out if you want some names.
Thanks.
I think we both, there's a lot of Finnish carpenters around.
Just a comment, I'm looking at the survey from 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see the wood trim at the roof edge is all intact. So
Oh, really?
there's a chance that it's all under there. It may
Mind
just
if
need
I
some
see
repairs.
the picture?
You can actually have one of these if you want, so you can see your old pictures.
I've never.
In those, if you flip the page, you can see some other photos. It's a little more clear. I might have given you a second packet that I didn't mean to.
Yeah, the 86 photos there too.
That's not that long ago.
Yeah, I feel like you're referring to the details here.
Exactly, on the exactly the picture.
I don't think that's metal white.
I don't think it is. I think that looks different from what you have now. You can really see the detail of it in the photos.
Gives me a little bit of hope looking at this picture.
You can actually have them, if you'd like one of ours. nothing else, you have a historic picture of your house now. 2 of them, because there's an 86 picture in there too.
Oh,
That's right.
Okay, so just to, because we have a lot here, I just want to go over this a couple times to make sure I have it right. So replacement windows 2/1 double hung, including egress windows to mimic 2/1 windows. Storm windows to be removed. Front door to be replaced with a similar 6-panel fiberglass door. Door frame to be repaired, not replaced.
I would say exterior door frame, but yeah.
And then the siding is to be replaced with a 4-inch clapboard vinyl and potentially replacing the trim. Are we gonna give some flexibility on this?
We're gonna say, applicant shall use available efforts to attempt to save or restore existing trim or replace or
what about
a new
add?
trim, yeah.
That may not be there.
I just say one thing that I've done many houses like this. This is the sills have been cut, so there's a reason for that. The trim around it was probably in tough shape. Is one of the reasons that they do that. So
Yeah,
might
so
find it a little bit more.
repair,
Want to.
replace, or maybe we can say applicant has permission to restore, or create new trim. Do you want to give him permission to create new trim? But is not required to, we're not requiring you. Just so we're really clear, we're trying to give you permission if you can find it. We cannot require you to put trim there that doesn't exist, and we
Right.
won't.
And it's a best efforts
Yeah,
basis.
if
and
you can do it, yeah,
Right.
we're not gonna hold you to
can-
that. It would be great, I think, for you, for your house, for your, for livability as we're dealing with things, but
Does it make sense to also say that you'd be okay with just the front or the front and the sides, just in case
that's fine.
we come back and
We can say that. Applicant, board approves, limited restoration if possible, or if desired by applicant. Yeah, again, we are not requiring you to do this. We think it would be nice if you could. I think, you guys don't feel like shutters were period on this house? Elizabeth, you don't feel like it was period on this house?
I don't
the
see them
windows are a
being
little
done this style.
No? Okay, I'll respect that.
I mean,
Is it just the roof line trim that we are keeping, or was there other trim that we were? Just the eaves and soffits?
yeah, if he uncovers it and there's existing.
Well, isn't there some there now?
Oh, right. That's
Wrapped,
what's existing
yeah.
now would
Shall
remain.
retain existing trim that is currently wrapped, may uncover if able.
So I have siding to be replaced with 4-inch clapboard vinyl. Applicant has permission to replace window trim if possible, even if it is only the front facade. Other existing trim shall be kept as wrapped, as existing
Yeah,
in a wrapped condition.
including wrapped condition or existing wrapped condition.
Am I missing anything?
Nope, I don't think so. Want to read it back one more time?
The full thing? Replacement windows 2/1 double hung, including egress windows to mimic the 2/1 windows. Storm windows to be removed. Front door to be replaced with a similar 6-panel fiberglass door. Door frame to be repaired, not replaced. Siding to be replaced with 4-inch clapboard vinyl. Applicant has permission to replace window trim if possible, even if it is only the front facade. Other existing trim shall be kept as existing wrapped condition.
Okay.
Is that,
That works for my motion. Thank you for the creative help in crafting it. It's
no
kind of a
problem.
group effort. I make that motion.
Do we have a second for that?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? All right. All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations. And
Appreciate it.
look forward to-
May I ask one question?
Sure.
And as you probably noted in that picture, there is a garage behind the main building. I did not, in my submittal, include the garage. Would it be, and the reason being is, we're just looking to address what we're going to do with the garage because there's some structural issues that we're revisiting. But in the event we wanted to do the same thing and be consistent with the garage, would you be opposed to that rather than having to come back at the time that I know what I'm doing with that?
I wouldn't be opposed if you side it just like the house is already sided, but if you're gonna change openings and closings and doors, you need to come back, would be my position.
Yeah, it would purely
I
be.
just want to ask Ms. Mears for a clarification on that, too. If he's adding the garage into this, does that affect anything? Or can we just kind of expand this to that as well?
And if anything were to change other than the siding, I'm happy to come back because
We would want you to submit something to the planning department for us to review, though.
So let's do this. Let's keep this as we've approved for tonight. Do a little more diligence into looking into your garage to see what you really need to do, and then just touch base with Ms. Mears in case she needs
fair enough.
additional stuff, and we'll go from there. And I think we can have you back as old business anyway,
Yeah.
if you were to come back next month.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it could be minimal if it's the
It
same
may
in
even be
kind.
minimal, true.
Because we've already given you approval for the siding.
Right.
We're not trying to harass you.
No, I know, and it would just be siding. That would be it. I wouldn't do the windows on the garage. It's not. But appreciate it. Appreciate everyone's time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
And thanks for such a well-done application, by the way. Appreciate the time you put into it.
No problem. It was probably a little much, but
It's okay.
We like that, and we really like pictures.
okay. I get a little carried away sometimes. So. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, do we have any other new business before the board tonight? Seeing none, workshop business.
We don't have a sign update, do we?
Actually, the plaques?
Yeah.
Yes, actually we do. So, obviously Laura and Tim both were not here, but they reached out to me. Laura's scheduling a workshop for August 7th at 6 p.m. for the, she's hoping to finalize the application, and she should have the finished plaques for the initial 2 or 3 that we have,
So it's
Mhm.
August 7th.
August 7th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So that is what she wanted me to let you know. And Tim said that he has been stockpiling some product, so he has additional product for more plaques moving forward. So I don't believe we'll have a shortage of materials from what he made it sound like.
Great. Nothing like free materials.
Ms. Mears?
Anna did reach out to all 3 properties, and 2 of the properties, I forget which ones, are thrilled about being looked at for this historic plaque program. So,
Perfect. Did the other one just not reply back, or was it?
we're waiting to hear from them.
Good to know. Any other workshop business? No? Any communications or miscellaneous?
Get me going.
Well, I was notified by Ms. Mears that we are gonna have to start doing minutes ourselves again. Apparently, the ability for the staff to do it is not there now. So I guess we're gonna need to find a secretary again to do minutes. Is there any volunteers by chance?
I was terrible at it.
I can't see or write, so.
All right. Well, I think that's something we're gonna have to come up with at our next meeting. Some solution for this, obviously. 'Cause
Who does
unfortunately,
them for other boards?
I believe city staff does most of the other boards.
The Conservation Commission does their own meeting minutes.
Any other communications and miscellaneous?
Just to touch base, we are working with Stratford Regional Planning Commission on getting a contract together for the Historical and Cultural Resources Master Plan chapter. So hoping to review that contract and start work on that with the Historic District
All right.
Commission.
All right. Anything else?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a second. George? All those in favor of adjournment, raise your right hand. All opposed? We are adjourned.